Well, after a few years of the announcement, after much speculation on what the story was going to be, what the motivation behind this project was going to be, we finally have our first full trailer for a live-action Moon Knight television series. Did you ever think we'd get here? I never did. I mean, the MCU is growing. It's always been growing, but I never thought we'd get to the point where we're going to do Moon Knight. It just seemed so out of the realm of possibility, and it's insane that it's actually happening. So we got the trailer. It aired on the wild card night for whatever happening in the football playoffs. You know, none of us watched it for the football game. Cardinals and Rams, who could care? But we got a trailer. We got a confirmation that March 30th, I think I speculated this a little while ago, that towards the end of March, we would get the actual release. It's March 30th. It's 6 episodes. We got a new poster, which looks incredible. That poster, to me, is probably one of the highlights of the reveal so far because it just does something that's really important when you have a poster. Simple is better. When you just make it simplistic, when you don't over-design it or have all these characters crowded in here, it works. Just a hand holding down on one of the crescent, what do they call them? The wing, the throwing star, whatever, the throwing crescent, whatever. You have one of those with blood on it and the battered, tattered, just mummy-looking costume. It's awesome. And it looks great. But we got a trailer. And it's blowing up. A lot of people are watching it. A lot of people are speculating on it. A lot of memes are being made. A lot of old memes are being passed around. A lot of support is coming out for this character. I think currently on Twitter, last I checked today, it was at like 150,000 tweets of Moon Knight, just talking about the character, which is kind of cool to see. So we got this trailer. It's about 2 minutes in length. And honestly, I think it's a really fascinating trailer. And what I mean by that is, not only does it like advert your expectations where it's like, okay, we're going to do something different. It does exactly what I thought it was going to. And that's really impressive, where it's like, hey, you know the beats you wanted. You wanted to see Conchu. You wanted to see him go crazy. You wanted to see the breakdown. It's doing that, but it's doing it in a way I wasn't expecting. So from the context of the trailer, it looks like we're focusing on Steven for the majority of the main story. And I think the synopsis was leaked too, where it's like Steven is like working at this gift shop, and then suddenly he learns he has this dissociative identity disorder, and he was connected to Mark Spector. That makes sense to me. That's also why Oscar Isaac's doing the accent. I know some people were like, ooh, that's a weird voice choice. Yes, because people are dumb, and we need to separate Steven from Mark, because clearly that clash is coming. Both of those people get name dropped. Steven Grant and Mark Spector are both name dropped in the trailer, so we're separating them already. And we're learning that Steven here, he's having trouble sleeping, because every time he closes his eyes or he tries to sleep, he starts to see these visions of a different world or something, and you see that he's actually so scared that he ties himself up to bed because he doesn't know what's happening at the nighttime. Which I think is really cool, because that kind of plays into this thing where like insomnia is already like this terrifying idea, and that's like a great way to show somebody slowly losing their grip on reality. Is like they're lying awake at night, they fear what happens when they sleep. That's really cool, but it also plays into this idea that like at nighttime is when the creature comes out. It's very much that old school horror fiction stuff that works really well. It's very werewolf. You know, it's like you close your eyes in the full moon and suddenly you don't know who you are, and he chains himself up to the bed so he doesn't escape. You also see under the bed, there's like a ring of sand around everything, kind of. I believe there's like a thing in Egyptian culture where putting a ring of sand around like your house or your bed or something keeps the evil spirits away. I saw that online. I can't confirm if that's true or not, but it makes sense to me. So Steven is having these visions. He feels weird. He's kind of like at this weird museum about like Egyptian mythology and stuff, and that's where he starts to encounter some of these things that might be connected to his past. So I set it up top. We do get a look at Khonshu here, and it's exactly what I wanted. One of the things I've said numerous times when it comes to this show, I need a physical representation of Khonshu, whether it's the bird skull in the suit or just a big creepy statue or just like a Jiminy Cricket following him. You have to make Khonshu a physical being, and this is the big bird. He's a big bird skeleton. He's towering over, just crawling through the hallways in a very intense scene where you see Steven is struggling to just maintain his sanity, and you see like when the hand reaches through the elevator, it turns into an old woman. And that was a really cool and powerful scene. I just really enjoyed seeing that, because that's what you needed. And I honestly am surprised how much it is diving into the like psychological side of things. I have a theory, and it's probably way off, but I really think that iconic scene where he's punching Anubis or a werewolf in the bathroom, I don't think that's actually Anubis or a werewolf. I think that's a hallucination and he's just beating up a regular person. Maybe it's Bushman, maybe it's nobody important, but I think that's what's happening here. And there's like scattered out shots of just him like losing his mind, scratching at himself, just laughing hysterically as he's running down a hallway. That's awesome. I do like that there's somebody on the phone trying to get a hold of Mark. So it's kind of like, this is how I'm picturing it. Again, I could be completely off. We're going to open on Steven. Steven is going to have this insomnia. He can't sleep. He's scared of what happens when he sleeps. He starts having these visions of this weird mummy in these robes that are following him. This weird bird creature is just like stalking him. And he's going to find the cell phone with a crocodile in it. And it's going to be like from this person. Is it Layla? I think is the name. That's May Calamet's character. And she's like, Mark. I'm like, okay, that could have been Marlene's character, but I think Marlene's still showing up at a different point. That's when you get the reveal, this guy's crazy. And I think that's kind of cool. So as it stands, my working hypothesis is that the events that make Mark Moon Knight transfer him into becoming Steven, and that kind of like awakens the personality. So Mark's dead. Comes back as Steven, wakes up in Britain somewhere. Suddenly he adopts the accent because he doesn't know who he is, builds a life for himself. And then now that Khonshu's like, oh shit, this guy I brought back to life kind of escaped my presence. I'm trying to reel him back in. That's what I think is kind of happening in the story. We'll have to wait and see. Oscar Isaac's doing great. I think the facial expressions, I think just the way he looks, the way he's acting, it looks really cool. There's a scene that interests me where he's driving a truck, he's holding a gun in his hand and it freaks him out. And it looks like he falls later in a different scene where he's like falling off the side of a cliff. Now, I can't confirm. We haven't got a name drop for Jake Lockley yet. I think anytime there's like a weapon with him, I think that's Jake. Or I think Jake might be like the surprise reveal that there's a third persona that's affecting his life and that's going to come into play. We'll have to wait and see. We also get some weird confirmation that this one's shocked a lot of people, if it's true or not. Ethan Hawke, if you watch the closed captionings when you watch it on YouTube, it says that Ethan Hawke's character is Arthur Harrow. And Arthur Harrow is a one-time character from the second volume, the Fist of Khonshu storyline, issue 2, I believe. He's just like a maniacal scientist that experiments on people. It looks here he's doing like some weird cultist stuff, and I think that's a very interesting approach because there is a religious backtone for the character Moon Knight, whether it's like his Jewish upbringing, whether it's the Egyptian mythology, there is something inherently religious about the character. He's a priest of Khonshu, he's a fist of Khonshu, right? I think that's interesting. And he looks like Sun King, he doesn't have the beard. I watched that new clip that they released of Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke talking, like they're just like reacting to the trailer. He goes for this like Dr. Moreau thing. He's like, oh, I look like Marlon Brando in The Island of Dr. Moreau, which makes me think you're doing the mad scientist thing and you're like making these people care about you in some weird twisted way. So there could be the change where he is Sun King or he's the profile or he's Werewolf by Night or he's Count Nefaria or anything. I'm going to stick that he's Arthur Harrow, and I think sparingly throughout the show, we're going to see more international Moon Knight villains. Like Midnight Man, I think they've already confirmed. Bushman has to appear. If he doesn't, it's a missed opportunity. And Anubis. I still think Anubis will show up, but I don't think we saw him at the end. So that's kind of cool. I think throwing a curveball in like that and having it be Arthur Harrow is really interesting because that could be something very special that a lot of people might not have been expecting, and it gives new, like, personality or meaning to a character that's long forgotten. That's interesting. I have been watching the discourse on a lot of like the Reddit and a lot of Twitter and a lot of Facebook groups. There seems to be mixed reaction from Moon Knight fans, and one of the things people have been arguing is like, oh, I even said this. I made a video talking about this. Like, when the character gets too popular, does he lose the thing that made him special? And throughout the past, literally 13 hours, maybe, from when we got that trailer, I think I've learned that comic book fans and comic book creators, in particular, have this really nice soft spot towards Moon Knight. And I think that's going to keep the character the way we've always wanted him to be. Whether the show is the perfect representation It's not opening the way people expect it to. It's doing something different with Steven. It's doing something different with the powers. Again, there's that shot where he's getting wrapped up in the bandages. That could be a dream sequence. That could be him losing his mind and he's like personifying that. Whatever. I do like the shots where we see his reflection in the mirror not mirroring what he's actually doing. A man losing his mind. I like that when you see the flicker of the Moon Knight in the mirror in the bathroom. That was really cool. But come on, that end shot where he walks right into the camera, that's badass and that's terrifying. And it goes right into that gothic horror, like vigilante crap that's terrifying and cool and surreal. And it's doing a lot more psychological thriller stuff than I expected. And that is really cool to see with top tier talent from Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. Two guys that are phenomenal actors in their own right, and having them come together to create this really weird story, I'm really digging. It's not what I expected. I wasn't expecting to hear Kid Cudi's Day and Night playing in the background, but I liked it. I think it's going to divide a lot of people, and I think that's what Moon Knight needs. Moon Knight is not a character that is going to work for everybody, and I think Marvel understands. Take the chance. Go to the area that the fans want it to. And when I mean fans, I mean the ones that are very into Moon Knight. Like, I think you don't need to do an R-rating Moon Knight. I think you don't need to go that deep into the psychological stuff. But the fact that they are shows that there's dedication and importance to this character that I think... It's weird to say, but I think out of every show coming up, you know, we got Riri Williams coming, we got Kamala Khan, we got Jennifer Walters, hell, even, you know, Kit Harington's role, even Blade. I think Moon Knight's going to be the one that breaks through to become a top tier character. And I think that's really weird to say because I've lived my whole life never expecting that to happen. And the fact that it might, that's kind of interesting. And I'm very curious to see how the discourse is going to go because of that. As it stands, the trailer fascinates me because it does a lot of really cool stuff. It does a lot of interesting things that I'm still kind of confused and mixed on. But overall, it really got me excited for more Moon Knight. And that's a really cool thing to see and a really cool way to get us hyped. And the trailer was great. I cannot wait to see what comes from the show. So March 30th, you can expect episodic reviews coming out when the episodes drop. Big in-depth discussions will be coming too. More Moon Knight content on the way, of course. If you guys are new to Moon Knight, I do have a lot of videos talking about the character, his side characters, his villains, his books, everything. You can check them out here. If you already subscribed to the channel, then you already know I have all these Moon Knight stuff. But if not, thank you guys so much for watching this trailer discussion. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.
Foul demon, face the vengeance of the Moon Knight.